welcome everyone to Golf Rules Questions. Your questions answered number 7 live stream on YouTube. I am about 15 minutes late, so apologies for that, but had a lot of things going on, including going to the dentist this afternoon, as well as a new job. Just started a new job at... I should be talking into the microphone, shouldn't I? Just started a new job at Spring Valley Golf Club. So that's in Melbourne. Top 50 course in Australia. So really had 3 days there so far, so really looking forward to it. Working as golf operations manager. So that is my excuse for why I have basically been off the GRQ space for at least a week and a half. But I've got heaps of content that I'm going to come up with, send out, post. So hopefully everyone will enjoy the fact that I've got this new position at a golf course, and we can we can post and chat and talk. Yes, Adam, absolutely. I was going to run it through my mobile phone again, but it's staring, the camera there, and I'm poking at it, and it would just interrupt it. So that's why I've taken 15 minutes to try and set up this computer so that I can get thanks, Justin. So that I can get chat this week. So it's not a 10-minute show. Okay, first of all, need to go through some of the questions that I've received this week. It's been a great week, or it's been a great week. It's been busy. So number 1, does a ball need to be unplayable for a player to proceed under Rule 19.2? And the answer effectively is no. So when we think of what unplayable is, we're thinking, I can't actually get in there to stand. I can't swing the club. I can't, actually get at the ball. It's between two rocks. That's what we're thinking when we think unplayable. But it's so much broader than that. It's a really broad term, unplayable. You can declare your ball unplayable basically anywhere on the course except in a penalty area. And I say except in a penalty area, it just means you can declare it unplayable, but we give you proceed under the penalty area rules 17.1D options. You don't proceed under 19.2 or 19.3. So yes, you can declare your ball unplayable 1 meter from the hole. And you declare it unplayable, you proceed under your options. You can drop your ball within 2 club lengths. Now you could be a meter around the hole. The other side. You could be 3 meters back. Whatever it is that you want to do. It sounds stupid, but the answer: does a ball need to be unplayable? Well, unplayable is up to the player as to what they think is unplayable. I mean, the best bunker player in the world is not going to declare their ball unplayable in a bunker for relatively simple, easy lie. But, Betty McGuinness on a 50 handicap hates bunkers, so she can certainly take an unplayable for a bunker and take the back on the line relief outside the bunker for a two-shot penalty. So unplayable is relative to the player, and it's up to the player as to whether they think their ball is unplayable. If you're playing in a match and you say, I think my ball's unplayable, I'm going to take penalty relief, and then the other player goes, no, that's not unplayable. I could play that, so you can play that. That's not how it works. It has to be it's up to you. It's the sole decision rests with you as to whether you think your ball is unplayable. If you don't want to scratch your new club, yeah, spot on. If there's some loose impediments, rocks underneath your club, underneath the ball, and you don't want to scratch your club, yeah, you can declare it unplayable. If it's halfway up a tree, you can still hit it, but you can still declare it unplayable. other people might play it. Other people might play it off the path. Other people might play it off the stones. Other people might get in there and play it when there's cactus. You might think, no, I don't need to be silly enough to attempt the shot when I've got cactus right up my clacker, so I'm going to take an unplayable penalty. Number two, what happens if a ball hits the hole and bounces out? Is it considered hole? No. The answer is no. If a ball hits the cup, even hits the bottom of the cup, bounces out, it's not considered hold. It has to come to rest within the hole to be considered hold. In COVID times, the committee may have slightly changed the definition or what hold is, where you got the pool noodle or some kind of plastic insert or whatever, and they say the likelihood of it staying there at rest is less likely than what it normally would be. So all you got to do is hit the flagstick, or all you got to do is half the ball has to be below the hole, even if it doesn't stay at rest. Whatever the committee comes up with for that COVID type situation, but most countries are back to playing under normal golf rules now, and for a ball to be hold, it has to be at rest. At rest, all of it below the level of the putting green, whether it's at rest in the cup or embedded in the side of the cup, all of it needs to be below the level of the putting green, except with that, or that exception is rule 13.2, when it's at rest against a flagstick, then only a part of it, very small, just any part of it needs to be below the level of the putting green. Trevor Singleton, do you need to play the same ball? So rule 6.3 talks about you have to play the same ball unless you are permitted to change your ball under a relief option. So if you're taking relief from an abnormal course condition, such as temporary water, GUR, immovable obstruction, animal hole, you can always change your ball. If you're taking relief from a penalty area, you can always change your ball. If you're taking an unplayable, you can always change your ball. If you're taking stroke and distance, of course you're going to be changing your ball because you can't find your... No, that's not true, is it? Because it could be stroke and distance for an unplayable option. So stroke and distance for a lost ball, then you can change your ball. I mean, if you lose your ball because you searched for 3 minutes, but then you find your ball again, your ball is lost, but you can actually use the same ball to go and proceed under rule 18.2 for ball lost. But if you hit your ball down the middle of the fairway, there's no relief options, you're not declaring it unplayable for a penalty, etc., etc. No, you can't change your ball. You hit it on the green, you can't change your ball just because you want to change from a hard ball to a soft ball or anything like that. So I hope that answered your question, Trevor. Number 3, if a ball goes across the boundary line and comes to rest, then a player takes stroke and distance, but before they make a stroke, their ball rolls back in bounds. Which ball is the ball in play? Okay, an interesting one here. So you've crossed the boundary line, you've gone out of bounds, it comes to rest out of bounds, then a player takes stroke and distance, but before they make a stroke at their ball, it rolls back in bounds. Which ball is the ball in play? There's a few things to unpack here. When the question asks they take stroke and distance, if they've taken stroke and distance by teeing another one up in the teeing area, then that ball isn't yet in play because you haven't made a stroke at it. So then you have to ask the question, how long has it been since you searched for or started the search for the original ball? And if it's been less than 3 minutes, then the original ball is still the ball in play. And when I say it rolled back into bounds, by water, wind, gravity, not by someone throwing it in there. So, where were we? So, if you're in the teeing area, you haven't put it back into play because you haven't made a stroke at it, then the other ball could be the original ball could be the ball in play if you haven't, if it hasn't been 3 minutes since you started the search. Okay, great. But if you've taken a drop in the penalty area, bunker, general area, then you've put that ball into play. In the general area, bunker, penalty area, by taking a drop with the intention to put it into play, that ball is now the ball in play. It's not about making a stroke. And similar on the green, as soon as you place the ball for the ball to be in play, that ball is in play. It's not about making a stroke. It's only about putting your ball into play by making a stroke on the teeing area. So, yeah, a couple of questions you need to ask. Have you started the search? Has it been 3 minutes? And then also, how did you put the ball back into play? Or how did you take stroke and distance? Have you taken stroke and distance yet by putting another ball into play? Question number 4, last question that I've written down tonight. Okay, this is a bit of an interesting one in match play. This one's strange because, let me just unpack it and then you'll work out why it's strange. I went against someone today and he made a wrong drop. He asked me if he could drop. I said sure, assuming that came with a +1 already. The hole ended 6-6 when it should have been me having a bogey and him having a 7, so a double bogey in my favour. More of he asked for a drop, then I said sure and assumed it came with a penalty already, but in the count the penalty was not placed. It was our caddies handling the score. Very important part to that. It was our caddies handling the score. So I asked a few more questions of this question. So basically, he's seen his opponent, match play, take a drop, or his opponent has asked, can I take a drop here? He goes, yes, you can take a drop, thinking the opponent is taking an unplayable. This person, let's say player A, goes, okay, he's taken an unplayable, he'll add 1 to his score. The player B is thinking he's taking free relief. Okay, so he doesn't think he's going to add a shot to the score. He'll tell his caddy what the score is. Player A tells his caddy what his score was, and those two caddies talked about it and said, oh, well, they both had a 6, so the hole is halved. The players then, assumed that the caddies were handling it, teed off on the next hole, and then discussed the score. So basically, because player A has put the scoring in the hands of his caddy, and the caddy hasn't thought, oh, well, that other player should have had a 7, no claim has been made. And because someone's teed off on the next tee, they can't make a timely claim because there was nothing there that player A did not know about. Okay, he knew that the player B was taking a drop. Player B just told his caddy what he said that the score was, and he assumed that player A had agreed with him taking a free drop. So there was no discussion about giving a wrong score. Which is one of the questions. What did player B give a wrong score? He just told his caddy, and the caddy told the other caddy, and they agreed that it was a half. So it was unfortunate, but sort of, next time you're thinking about doing that kind of thing, you can always have your caddy in charge of the score, but check what the match score is, surely. That just, I always like to have, some people don't like to think about the score. I always like to think about the score, and, I play it as like a chess match, and someone's winning or losing it at one point, but a really good shot could change the momentum of the match, definitely. But yeah, my advice would be always be wary of what the score is, the match score is essentially, and how many shots the other player has had. That was 15 minutes. That was 4 questions plus Trevor's questions. Guys, girls, the floor is open. The mic is open. Ask away. Questions. This Spring Valley job, really nice. Obviously, beautiful course. I haven't actually had the opportunity to play it. We've had a ton of rain down in Melbourne. So we've been talking about operating a temporary local rule at the moment. I wanted to be a hard ass and play by the rule under Rule 16.1, but there's some and we made the back 9 bunkers all GUR. But there are some tough spots that players, if they had to drop, they're really dropping in a terrible position. So we've put in some dropping stakes now, some blue dropping stakes, which is should work out. And considering the rain that we're supposed to get tomorrow in Melbourne, we may have some dropping stakes out on the front 9 and all the bunkers out of play there as well. So we'll see what happens. Justin, if on the tee a player makes slight contact and the ball rolls a few inches, can the player tee it up again, or do I have to play it where it stopped? So, Justin, it all depends on did the player make a stroke at their ball? Did the player make a stroke at the ball, or have they just tapped it off the tee? If they've caused it to move, there's no penalty, and you can replace it. You can place it somewhere else within the teeing area. If they actually have had the intention to hit it, then they would need to work out whether the ball was still within the teeing area. If the ball was outside the teeing area after making a stroke, then they play as it lies, or they can go back into the teeing area for an unplayable, a stroke and distance penalty of 1, teeing off again and be lying 3 on the fairway, 3 in the rough, whatever, 3 wherever the ball comes to end. Or if it's still within the teeing area, Justin, then they can re-tee it and they'll be playing their second shot. So I've made a video on that. I'll send it to you, Justin. I'll make sure it gets to you somehow. Hope that answered all your questions about that one. Trevor, if you lose a ball, can you drop it in the general area as a penalty, or do you need to go back to the last position you hit from? Is it a 1 or 2 shot or something else? So, if you lose a ball in the general area, your only option is stroke and distance. You have to go back to your last place played, your previous stroke, where the previous stroke was made. That's going to cost you a 1-shot penalty. If the committee has adopted Model Local Rule E5, alternative to stroke and distance or ball out of bounds, alternative stroke and distance for a lost ball or ball out of bounds, then yes, there is this option of taking a drop basically on an equidistant arc to the fairway plus 2 club links into the fairway for a 2-shot penalty. And you can go back as far as you like from that equidistant arc, from the as far as you like back from the hole, but it's going to cost you 2 shots. Now, that is only a local rule. Not every club will have adopted that local rule. Some people might say, why haven't you adopted that local rule? It just makes so much sense. In the rules of golf, they say, this is good for club competitions, but we would certainly never recommend it for professional events. There are other ways of setting up your course that can avoid that kind of thing. If there's heavy rough, you can make certain areas penalty areas. or internal out of bounds, or just cut the rough. So Trevor, yeah, all good. Looks like you've got the answer to that. So that model local rule, make sure you check before you play. At your home course obviously, but wherever you're playing, make sure you check. Any other questions? Adam, Justin, anyone else who is on the chat? Trevor? Otherwise, I will call it quits. Oh, hello, Ray. In a regular Stableford game, if you see one of the group about to infringe on a rule, but you are not the marker, do you intervene? Player did not take complete relief for temporary water in bunker. Ray, I would suggest you intervene as quickly as possible. Try not let that player get a penalty. I know that there's always been this whole don't get involved unless it's the player and marker, but in that situation you're just trying to help the player out so that they don't incur a penalty. In terms of player did not take complete relief for temporary water and bunker, I know that you know the rules and you know what you're talking about, but it is quite interesting if there's nearest point of complete relief, and if you get away from nearest point of complete relief, or if there is no available nearest point of complete relief, then you get to point of maximum available relief. So if the bunker was fairly full of water, it may go down as a point of maximum available relief. But to your question, yes, get involved and just have a quick chat. Just have it's an education. Hey, did you know that you have to take, or hey, did you know you're still standing in the water, or hey, did you know that your ball is still touching the water? That means you haven't taken complete relief, and you just need to take complete relief, otherwise you're going to incur this penalty. Sometimes it's not nice, and the most likely reason that it's not nice is it's embarrassing for that other person if they don't know the rules. And that's why you've just got to find a way to be as nice, as nice as possible. Adam, back on the line is a rule that a lot of people at our club know about for a red penalty area, and I always have to explain it. Back on the line is a rule that a lot of people at our club know about in a red penalty area, and I'm always having. Are you... Oh, sorry, don't know. Right, okay, so people just assume that lateral relief is the only option for a red penalty area, where you always have back on the line as an option if available. And I just mean if available, if the red penalty area, the place that you crossed, you're going back out of bounds, then it's not available. But it is an option if available. I think I've definitely done a penalty area back on the line option. So you can send them that video in case, instead of having to always explain it. But it's the same for an unplayable, that back on the line from the flag stick, and they've changed it slightly. You drop within one club length, no nearer the hole than the reference point on the line. But yeah, I can see why it can get tedious to explain it all the time. Well, that was nice and quick, and I hope it was good to get the chat back. Trying it on the phone, chat doesn't really work, so I'll have to stick to the computer. Yep, good, Ray, that's good. We had a little rules lesson after the whole, I think that's the best way. Educate the player, what the rules are after the hole, after the round, while you're having a beer, while you're having chips and a drink. If you try and teach someone 20 rules at once, they're just going to get lost. So one or two every game is where it's at. And even the best of us don't know all the rules. or still need to take some time to try and work out what the rules are. So they're not the easiest thing, but we just keep learning, keep doing. Thank you everyone for participating and watching, and I hope everyone that gets to watch this has enjoyed it. I used the camera from the laptop this week. I don't think it's quite as clear as the Canon M50, so I'll get that back on board soon. But yeah, just going through a lot of changes at the moment. Really enjoying it, really loving this opportunity at Spring Valley, but obviously want to keep growing and educating and helping out the GRQ community. So thank you everyone, and I'll see you next week. Although I must say, for the regulars, I don't know if Jerry is on, because it would be 5:10 in the morning in Canada because their clock switched backwards. I might try and change the time. Now, please tell me a better time for you. I know 8:30 on a Thursday probably works for most, but I would like to try and get more of our overseas viewers. Obviously for Australia that doesn't quite work at the moment. It'd have to be later. Like, even if you told me 10:30 would be better than, or 9:30, 10:30 possibly. 6:30 in the morning I could certainly do. But yeah, let's have a bit more of a conversation. I could even do a lunch thing. That might even work better for a lot of people. The good thing about this is it's recorded, but the only thing about the being recorded is if you watch it, you don't get to chat, participate, which I absolutely love the chat participation. So definitely want to try and hold on to that as well. Anyway, we'll figure out a time and I'll let everyone know the new time for next week. Appreciate the responses again, and thank you very much for tuning in, and see you later.